Is Allah Azza wa Jalla the provider for our sustenance in this world? Yes, indeed He is. But is He also the provider for our fate in the hereafter? Number. The truth is that Allah Azza wa Jalla guarantees our sustenance in this life, but not our outcome in the hereafter. And yet, how do we behave? We act as though Allah Azza wa Jalla were not the provider in this world, but as if He were solely responsible for our fate in the hereafter. In essence, we live recklessly in this life while depending entirely on the promise of the next. But we do believe, don't we? Now a question arises. Is Allah truly the provider in this world? Yes, He certainly is. O Lord, if You are indeed the provider for our sustenance here on earth, why do You make us work so hard? Do you understand the question? If You are the provider, why do You make us toil, O Lord? For instance, a tree receives its sustenance directly, does it not? Yes, it does. O Lord, could we not receive our sustenance like the trees, effortlessly? Look, I am constantly on the move from morning till night. I travel from place to place, wandering everywhere. Isn't that so? Yes, that's exactly it. You wake up at dawn to open your shop. You receive goods in your warehouse, and you rush around tirelessly. Do you rise early to work? Yes, you do. Then why do we have to endure so much hardship? Does your life not burn away on construction sites? O Lord, if You are the provider of our sustenance, let it come to us, like it does to the trees. Or, O Lord, if You are truly the provider, why did You not create us without the need to eat? Wouldn't that have been better? Imagine if we never felt hunger. Wouldn't that be simpler? For if Allah Azza wa Jalla provides for our sustenance, then why must we strive to earn it? And yet, O Lord, You claim to be the provider. If that is indeed the case, then why do we work so hard? Let's delve into this. Consider a baby. From the moment it is conceived until it becomes a child, how is it nourished? Does it need to exert its will to receive sustenance while in its mother's womb? No, it does not. In fact, during its most vulnerable state, that is when it receives the most sustenance. Do you see it? When the baby is at its weakest, it receives the greatest amount of sustenance. It requires no effort, does it? It feeds through its mother's umbilical cord. And then, when the baby is born, does it need to use some of its will to eat? Yes, it does. How? By using its mouth to suckle. As it grows older, by the time it reaches 4 or 5 years of age, does it need to exert even more will to obtain its sustenance? Yes. What does it have to do? Use its hands and feet. Then, by the time one reaches 15 or 20 years old, in order to obtain the sustenance that has been destined for them, they must exert even more willpower, correct? Yes. Thus we observe that the more willpower increases, the more hidden sustenance becomes. Have you noticed this? Yes. This indicates that sustenance is not something that one acquires through effort. If sustenance were something that could be gained through strength and effort, then with increased willpower and force, sustenance would also increase. How do we know that sustenance is not acquired by our efforts? It is evident in the fact that as willpower and strength increase, sustenance becomes more hidden. Is that not so? Up to this point, is everything clear? Observe carefully. Thus, sustenance is not proportional to strength, power, or knowledge, but is in fact inversely proportional. That is to say, there is an inverse relationship. The more strength increases, the more hidden sustenance becomes. How can this be proven? If sustenance were proportional to strength, then dinosaurs would not have gone extinct. If sustenance were proportional to strength, lions would not suffer from hunger. In reality, sustenance is inversely proportional to strength and willpower. How do we know this? It is clearly seen in the life of a baby, isn't it? Now go and observe the seas. Have you ever seen a fish perish from lack of food? Not a single one. Look closely. Marine creatures, those with almost no capacity for movement, the weakest ones, are they not often the fattest and best nourished? Allah, Allah. If sustenance were tied to intelligence, then philosophers and scholars would be the wealthiest among us. If sustenance depended on intellect, shouldn't the richest people be philosophers, thinkers, and scientists? But is this the case? No, it is not. Thus, it's clear that sustenance is not proportional to intelligence either. It becomes evident that sustenance is, in fact, inversely proportional to willpower. Here's the key point. This means that the purpose of work is not to gain sustenance, for sustenance is not something that can be earned through labor. The true purpose of work is to save us from the torment of inertia. Marine creatures that have almost no ability to move, those that are the weakest, are often the plumpest and best nourished, aren't they? If sustenance were truly based on intelligence, then the wealthiest people would be philosophers and scholars. If wealth were tied to intellect, shouldn't philosophers, thinkers, and scientists be the richest? But is that the case? No, it isn't. Thus, it's not proportional to intelligence either. Therefore, it becomes evident that sustenance is inversely proportional to willpower. Now here's the key statement. This means that the purpose of work is not to gain sustenance. For sustenance is not something that one can earn through one's own efforts. This is a crucial point. The aim of work is not to earn sustenance. Indeed, sustenance is not something that can be acquired through labor. The true meaning of work is to save us from the torment of idleness. If, in this world, our sustenance was not hidden, scattered here and there, but instead clearly designated for each of us, even down to the last grain of rice, what would happen? If Allah Azza wa Jalla had not kept it concealed, there would be no activity in this world. We would all become prisoners of the torment of idleness. Let me give you an example. The father of one of our friends is a cobbler. He repairs soles, does painting work, a laborious job. His lungs have suffered because of this. If this man's sustenance had not been hidden somewhere, would he do this cobbler's work? No, he would not. If his sustenance came to him as it does to a tree, would he do it? Number. If our sustenance were not hidden in certain places, if it came directly to us as it does to trees, would you serve in the military? Number. Would you perform long hours of surgery? Number. Do you see? If sustenance were visible and easily accessible, we would have no reason to take up professions, to engage in tasks, or to contribute to the development of the universe. The reason we work is not to earn our sustenance, but to save ourselves from the torment of inactivity. Allah Azza wa Jalla has thus hidden our sustenance, not bringing it directly to our feet as He does for trees, so that there would be activity and movement in the universe. Why do birds fly? To seek their sustenance. Why do fish embark on long migrations? To obtain their sustenance. Likewise, why does humanity strive in this vast universe? To find sustenance. This indicates that the true purpose of work is not to acquire sustenance. Sustenance cannot be gained by our efforts. In truth, under the guarantee of Allah Azza wa Jalla, the essence of work is to engage in the wheel of trials, to escape the torment of idleness, that is, the torment of purposelessness and aimlessness. And where will this torment of aimlessness, this lack of purpose, be most excruciatingly felt? In hell, an existence without purpose. At the end of this lesson, we'll even have a cup of tea. That's a purpose, isn't it? Imagine endless years passing without purpose. Nothing would change, even after a year. You wouldn't even have the goal of alleviating a bit of pain here or there. Thus, this activity in the universe saves us from the torment of inertia. Is this understood? Let me repeat this key statement once more. The purpose of work is not to gain sustenance. for it is not something that one acquires. The true purpose of work is to provide us with engagement on earth and to free us from the torment of inactivity. This is precisely why Allah Azza wa Jalla has concealed our sustenance, even though you rest assured under the shadow of the sustenance that Allah guarantees for you. If we did not work, who would grant us that sustenance? Even parents say this to their children, don't they? Whose responsibility are you assuming? It is Allah's responsibility, but just look at this matter. What an astonishing question. If Allah Azza wa Jalla had willed, could He have nourished us with grass like sheep? Of course He could have. Listen, you who are a doctor, could you one day analyze the blood values of a sheep? How is its health? Perfect, isn't it? Do you see? It feeds solely on grass, yet does it suffer from any health issues? None. Absolutely none. If Allah Azza wa Jalla had wished, could He have made us live healthily by feeding us only grass? Yes, He absolutely could have. Imagine a man going to the doctor, well-fed and overweight, with high cholesterol levels. He asks the doctor, "Doctor, what should we do?" The doctor replies, "You should eat grass, like a sheep." If I gave up meat and ate only grass, would my fat levels decrease? Yes, answers the doctor. But tell me this, our sheep only eats grass, so where does that thick fatty tail come from? If Allah Azza wa Jalla so willed, could He not have made us fat and healthy while feeding us solely on grass? Absolutely. Then why all these varieties of food? Why? Remember this statement. The honor of a guest is measured by the table set before them. Isn't that true? O Lord, could you have nourished us with just grass? Yes, without a doubt. O Lord, then why all these varieties of sustenance? A guest is honored by the richness of the table laid out for them. Allah Azza wa Jalla has set this cosmic table with a multitude of dishes so that we may come to know Him. He who treats His guests with such abundance in this world, how will He welcome those who have earned His pleasure in the hereafter? O Lord, why did you create strawberries, grapes, pears? Why all these different kinds of meat? Normally, if you had created us to eat just a simple grass, it would have sufficed, wouldn't it? It would have been enough. And we could have been well nourished, with fat as plentiful as that of a sheep's tail. No problem. O Lord, why all this diversity? The dignity of a human being is measured by the richness of the table set before them. Isn't that true? Yes, it's true. By providing this abundance of variety, Allah Azza wa Jalla makes us recognize His attribute as Ar-Razzaq, the provider. If, after enjoying all these blessings, you fail to acknowledge the one who granted them to you, wouldn't that be a betrayal? Indeed, it would.